Anastasia Steele, known as Anna, found herself in a precarious situation. Perched on the lap of her billionaire CEO husband, Christian Grey, the possessive husband and obsessive alpha male, who embodied the dark romance of a mafia boss in their marriage of convenience. She snapped a quick photo to appease the family, intending to slip away, but his strong hand gripped her wrist, pulling her back with that enemies-to-lovers intensity that always simmered between them. In his mind, she had been faking photos for his grandfather all along, using clever edits in this age of AI, a skill she wielded with proficiency that suggested it wasn't her first time. They rarely met, yet she managed to deceive the family, allowing her to sneak out for drinks without repercussions. If not for his interventions soothing the old man, they would have been summoned back to the family estate long ago. And those fertility soups his mother pushed on him every few months? He suspected they tied back to her, blaming her for any perceived issues in their forced marriage with its age gap and grumpy sunshine dynamic. Anna dismissed his accusations with a scoff, but Christian's grip tightened on her soft wrist, his dark eyes cooling like polished ebony. He stood abruptly, excusing himself from the gathering, dragging her along despite her protests about going their separate ways. Their penthouse awaited, but she insisted their wedding home was off-limits to her. Undeterred, he bundled her into his sleek Maybach, driving through the night in tense silence back to their luxurious Manhattan penthouse overlooking the city skyline. Upon arrival, the housekeeper, Mrs. Wu, greeted them with wide-eyed shock, as if witnessing a rare phenomenon. She had been with the Grey family for years, transferred to care for Anna 5 years prior, and while she reported back discreetly, she never gossiped. Seeing the couple enter together after so long filled her with quiet concern for their strained relationship. Anna ignored Christian entirely, slipping into slippers and heading upstairs, advising Mrs. Wu to rest as there were plenty of rooms for him. Exhausted, she shed her outer clothes and showered quickly in the marble-tiled bathroom, emerging in a towel with her hair half dry. To her surprise, Christian lounged on the white sofa in her bedroom, a fresh set of pajamas nearby, his gaze unwavering as she frowned at his intrusion. Realizing Mrs. Wu's matchmaking intentions, Anna sighed and grabbed her white camisole nightdress from the closet, changing in the bathroom before climbing into bed without a glance his way. Christian sat there for 10 minutes, fury building as her breathing evened out in sleep. All those years of tonic soups inflicted on him because of this enigmatic woman. She slept soundly while he suffered. Rising, he showered and approached the bed, his hand covering her mouth and nose to wake her. Startled, Anna's eyes flew open, struggling against the suffocating hold. He stated his discomfort sharing a bed, suggesting she move elsewhere. Outraged, she refused to yield the master bedroom, invoking superstitions about disturbing sleep. His cold laugh preceded wrapping her in the duvet, but she fought back fiercely, kicking and thrashing like a wildcat, the sheets flying off in the chaos. Annoyed, Christian pinned her wrists to the bed, mindful not to hurt her despite his anger. She countered with kicks, one landing on his leg, causing him to collapse atop her, their bodies aligning perfectly in a moment of unintended intimacy. In a haze, he murmured about her resorting to seduction when fighting failed. Anna retorted mentally about his arrogance, emphasizing her own wealth and independence, insisting he leave if he couldn't sleep. For the first time in their 5-year marriage, Christian truly saw her, feisty, unyielding. Despite his initial disdain for this arranged union, born from superstition to aid his frail health, her presence had mysteriously improved his condition, earning her family's leniency. As his hand grazed her soft waist, Anna stiffened, but instead of resisting, she boldly reciprocated, pinching his backside playfully, declaring their marital rights. His face flushed with rage, yet she burrowed into his chest like an octopus, murmuring fatigue in a coquettish tone to disarm him. Though beautiful, she stirred no desire in him then, but he decided to play along, hugging her tighter in a contest of wills until they drifted off. Christian, once plagued by shallow sleep due to childhood illness, found this night restful, waking to morning light with his arm numb under her head. Doubts crept in about his grandfather's claim, that she was his lucky charm. Attempting to extract his arm, he roused her. She clung sleepily, nuzzling his chest and mumbling about her exhausting role as a chosen worker in this world, wishing for an obedient partner. As a normal man, the morning intimacy tensed him. He shoved her away roughly and stormed to the bathroom. Fully awake now, Anna realized she had overslept, missing her alarm due to last night's chaos. A crucial company meeting loomed. She rushed to dress in professional attire, applying a vibrant red lipstick, ignoring Christian on the toilet as she dashed out. He breathed deeply to quell his fury at being overlooked, punching the tile in frustration. Downstairs, informed his car was taken. Left at the club, with Anna borrowing it for urgency, he called his assistant for a ride after breakfast. Mrs. Wu, seeing him off, gently urged more visits for Anna's sake, noting her exhaustion. Christian acknowledged without commitment, diving into his Los Angeles work, erasing lingering images of her. Yet upon returning home that night, spotting his long-absent car surprised Anna. Perhaps he was reflecting, shifting toward positivity. To test, she instructed Mrs. Wu to sell most cars, keeping one to deter her brother's mooching girlfriends. On a private jet to another city, Anna noticed Reese Larson, her old acquaintance, beaming beside her. Their bond traced back years. Sent abroad young, she had helped him during his bullied school days, language barriers isolating him despite his wealthy background. After her parents' accident, she returned home early. Reese regretted not revealing his family ties sooner, believing he could have aided her during her crisis when vultures circled her inheritance. He probed her feelings for Christian. She admitted never meeting before their wedding, arranged for Gray family aid. Reese laughed, confident he could win her, offering to reclaim her company's shares from Christian in exchange for divorce and dating him, respecting boundaries until then. Anna agreed conditionally. Landing, they checked into a luxury hotel and headed to negotiate acquiring a small hotel for her dawning chain's expansion in Los Angeles. The deal seemed sealed, but a twist emerged: the entire Jade Forest Street was targeted for development. The seller handed her an invitation to a city-hosted banquet to meet the backers. Reese coaxed her not to fret. They could negotiate. Grateful for his past debts repaid, she accepted his help without overthinking. At the hotel, transformed in an elegant gown from Van Cleef jewelry accents, they entered arm in arm, drawing whistles. The mayor greeted Reese warmly, surprised by his interest given his family's political focus. Reese introduced Anna as his companion, eyeing the street for her hotel plot. Eyes met across the room: Christian and Alex Volkov, the developers. Anna's heart skipped. Such grand scale suited them. Reese's smile widened, clasping her waist, joking about family ties easing the deal. Alex deferred to Christian, who stared possessively, declaring the plan fixed, no room for dawning. Reese pressed, but Christian snapped, suggesting she use Reese's influence instead, his words laced with targeted jealousy. "She's mine. Every breath she takes belongs to me." The group sat tensely, Alex's lazy gaze scanning them with deep amusement. To ease awkwardness, Reese excused them for the banquet start. Alone with Christian, Anna clarified their sham marriage, denying any infidelity, urging a business perspective on dawning's merits for mutual gain. A deep-voiced foreigner interrupted. William, recognizing Anna from abroad, lamenting her dropout over a pretty boy like Reese, mocking her choices to the mayor's son. Anna inwardly cursed the timing. Reese, overhearing his bully, grabbed a bottle, shattering it in rage. She intervened swiftly, dragging him away to prevent violence, whispering reminders of his status. Abroad, William had led Reese's torment, hospitalizing him repeatedly. Dark history for a privileged son. Back at the hotel, Reese was escorted away by associates, likely family intervention. Soon after, William was hospitalized in a traffic accident post-banquet. Police questioned Anna due to her warnings, but she cooperated truthfully. Christian arrived to bail her, sneering at her notoriety, relaying his grandfather's summon home. In the car, she proposed buying back shares and divorcing, allowing him freedom with Reese if family approved, but warned against embarrassing him, threatening her CEO position. Outraged, Anna defended her boundaries with Reese, insisting no oversteps. Christian's face darkened in disbelief. Their 5-year mutual ignorance shifted. His sudden attention flattered, yet cautioned her against self-importance. As he reached out, she slapped him preemptively. The driver raised the partition amid the ensuing chaos. Clothes tearing in their grapple, her hair pulling and eye poking met his shameless ripping of fabric to disarm her. Christian admitted the accidental tear, but claimed shamelessness, reminding her of yesterday's glimpse. Stunned, she recalled rushing past him nude in haste. Softening slightly, he draped his jacket over her, gripping her jaw to warn of marital legitimacy and family fondness, refusing a cuckold's hat. Believing her once, he drove to her hotel but redirected to his villa when she hesitated. "She's mine to ruin, my little wife, and I'll punish any who touch her." Clad in tatters under his jacket, Anna balked at exposure. His villa offered privacy to negotiate. Dawning meant everything, her parents' legacy, revived through blood and sweat. At his opulent Los Angeles residence, attempting to exit Flash Skin, Christian scooped her into his arms, carrying her inside despite protests, ignoring the touch her and die vibe he exuded toward imagined threats. Tossing her on the bed, he fetched a shirt, his only women's attire lacking. She donned it, pressing for the hotel deal. Impressed by her persistence, he teased sleep together tonight for consideration. Squinting, she accused him of budding affection after years of neglect, advising against it given inevitable divorce. He stormed out, calling her delusional. Victorious, Anna showered humming, while Christian tossed sleeplessly, disturbed by silence without her. Understanding her revival of dawning at 20, he admired her grit. Next morning, in new clothes, she spotted his dark circles, stifling laughter, perhaps bed recognition issues. Breakfast passed silently. Alex arrived for site inspection, greeting cordially but with underlying darkness. Anna suspected Alex orchestrated William's accident, dangerous ally. He applauded her spirit, warning of fallout from Reese's chivalry, advising caution with powerful families. Christian opposed her hiding at the Gray estate if entangled, but she shrugged. Family welcomed her. Pushing his coffee playfully, she irked him into tying the hotel to her attitude. Backpedaling sweetly, she offered his coffee cooled. Alex praised her adaptability, suggesting she suited Christian. Try investing emotion for change. Christian averted eyes disgustedly. Anna dismissed Reese's affection, prioritizing business over romance unless it outweighed dawning. Reese promised shares retrieval. She hid nothing, favoring transparency over intrigue. Christian mocked internally. No surrendering assets, especially with rising value. Alex, sensing undercurrents, grinned. Including her in inspections signaled tacit approval. Her mood soared. The street's prime location suited upscale revamp, boosting dawning's luxury chain. Lunch at a top-decorated spot assessed traffic, interrupted by black cars blocking entry. A refined but aged woman alighted under umbrellas. Reese's mother, Mrs. Larson, perfume-heavy, demanding private words with Anna. Ignoring, Anna sipped juice until confronted. Politely, she demanded appointments, valuing time for lucrative deals with Christian and Alex. Mrs. Larson, irked, proposed merging dawning post-marriage to Reese, confining Anna to pregnancy. Laughing, Anna mocked the greed sans payment, denying romance, mere play if any. Revealing Reese's bullied past, she questioned Mrs. Larson's motherhood, suggesting stepmother status for neglect. Furious, Mrs. Larson defended, insisting compliance for entry. Anna rose dominantly, declaring superior status through self-made success, warning against future interference. Christian watched astonished. This confirmed her disinterest in Reese. Mrs. Larson brandished a recorder. Anna revealed her phone's playback of Reese's voice, exposing the call, declaring marriage and advising retreat. Humiliated, Mrs. Larson fled. Alex clapped again. Anna downplayed, recalling early dawning struggles teaching humility. Later, she credited the Grays for dignity restoration via marriage. Christian probed. She joked becoming his wife. He accused flattery for the deal. She affirmed determination, threatening maternal complaints if denied. Face-changing, Christian agreed return home tonight, sign tomorrow. Elated, she toasted cooperation. Post-inspection, they flew private jet back. Anna waved by, driving off with her assistant, oblivious to his darkening mood at her independence. Alex whispered about missed chances. Home, Anna inquired about her brother's absences, angered by past rebukes. Prepping for signing in a state stay, Mrs. Wu hoped joint return. Anna demurred. Meanwhile, Christian's insomnia worsened post-shared bed. Desperate against relapse, he drafted contracts midnight, driving to her penthouse. Mrs. Wu admitted him surprised. He ascended, embracing sleeping Anna. Sensing intrusion, she stirred, but he muffled protests, craving sleep beside her. Contract and sign hung over, she quieted. He hugged her waist contentedly, dozing swiftly. Morning, she smothered him awake teasingly for work. Bedhead rage flared. He yanked her beneath, pinning playfully. Mocking formal address, she suggested husband. He challenged acceptance. Hugging his neck seductively, she whined pain. He cringed at oiliness but persisted, hand wandering threateningly. Panicking at gender reality, she jabbed fingers at eyes. He caught, spreading arms. Head butting, lips met accidentally, shock deepened the kiss, his grip bruising her waist as she gasped, inviting deeper exploration. Sweet warmth engulfed, they parted breathless. Cursing, she was silenced by another kiss, ears flushing in novel sensation. Stopping, he held her smirking, defeated? Good girl, you're mine, my baby girl, and this possessive husband will claim every inch in our red room of punishment, with red ropes and belts binding you submissive to my dominant will.